Your clothes may have embedded tracking. Delivery by drone is getting closer. Texting 911 is now possible in Pima County. And 7 ways to connect to the internet. All that and more next on The Computer Doctor Show.
You're listening to The Computer Doctor Show, your source for technology subjects affecting your business and personal life during this new normal. Your host is an award-winning office technician and IT specialist, author, tutor, ethical hacker, and recent winner on localbest.com as the best computer shop in Tucson. Broadcasting live, here's Aaron Moss.
Hello, Tucson. Welcome to the Computer Doctor Show. I'm Aaron Moss, your host. Good to have you with us every Saturday at 2 p.m. right here on KVOI 1030 The Voice and streaming live on YouTube at the 1030 The Voice YouTube channel. Our open lines, 520-790-2040. Feel free to call in anytime with your comments and questions. We'll try our best to get to your call. On the show today, we're always trying to disable anything that tracks us. You know, we're very, very private people by nature, you know, but anytime we get any idea that anything is tracking us, we try to find a way to turn it off or disable it. It could be our phone, it could be our car, it could even be our credit cards, or even your passport. But what about your clothes? We're going to be talking about a segment later in the show about a technology that has been in existence for over 10 years. But for some people, for some reason, people just forget about it or they forget its many applications. And we're talking about RFID. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. But first, highlights of tech news this week. It was back in December of 2013 that Jeff Bezos at Amazon introduced the drone delivery concept to CBS News, at which time was estimated that small parcels up to 5 pounds could be delivered by drone in 4 to 5 years. Now, 7 years later, Amazon has cut through some barriers, cutting days of delivery down to minutes of a delivery. It's estimated that shipment by drone will increase exponentially over the next few decades, as companies like Amazon, Google, Walmart, Uber Eats, UPS, and Boeing, and others that are in the race for drone delivery systems for small, medium, and large parcels too. The greatest advantage is the speed of getting medicine for doctors and hospitals, not necessarily getting your food or your pizza delivered by drone, which will be a possibility. Those aren't all that important. However, some of the complications involving hacking the drones and navigating would be navigating the phone and voltage lines, trees, cutting up flowers in someone's garden, or fighting with the alley cat to get to the destination. The biggest hurdle, however, is regulation, establishing what the drones can and cannot do. The future is here. It is not a bird, it's not a plane, it's just someone's package being delivered. Texting 911 is up and running in Pima County. Here is a message from the Pima County Sheriff Department to explain this new service.
I'm Kevin Adger with the Pima County Sheriff's Department. You can now text 911 with an emergency throughout Pima County. But before we explain how it works, let's set up some guidelines for you to follow. When do you text to 911? If you're hard of hearing, deaf, or have a speech disability, or if you can't speak because of injury or illness. Also, if you're in a situation where speaking on the phone will create a threat. And finally, if you're in an area where there is poor reception.
Pima County Sheriff's Department.
But if possible, we would like you to actually call 911 and talk with a dispatcher. Here's how it works. A community member is in distress and can't talk on the phone. That person will text 911 saying that they need help. The dispatcher gets the text and begins a conversation. The first thing they will ask is for your location. If the caller can talk on the phone, the dispatcher will call the person in need of help. If the caller can't talk on the phone, the conversation will continue by text.
So we've been preparing for the text to 911 for a couple years now. When we upgraded our Vesta system, dispatchers have been getting training on how to use the system to be able to answer any text.
If you're wondering how the priority of the text will work, it is all based on the nature of the emergency.
I handle text to 911 calls just like we would have voice calls for as priority or whatnot. The way we prioritize different emergencies. Obviously, life and death situations are a little bit more high priority than, say, somebody's neighbor's playing loud music. And that priority system is still in place for any text calls that we get along with voice calls.
Samantha Moore is deaf and is a part of our community. The option to text to 911 for an emergency is exciting to her and others in the deaf community.
We're feeling equal access. We're feeling the equity, and we feel that we are just like the hearing community. If they need to call 911, we're at that same level where we can get that immediate need.
Before text to 911, the deaf community would have to use an interpreter service for an emergency.
And I think my main concern has always been using an interpreting service. I have to make sure that I'm at the right angle. Can they see me? If I'm in an emergency situation, that might not be accessible, so they won't be able to see me. And I think that's a hassle for the deaf community. So to text, that is immediate, and I really think that's important.
While Samantha was with us, she wanted to test out the text to 911 system, so we had her use the City of Tucson's communication center.
I think there might be a little bit of a delay, but it is faster than trying to go through an interpreter with the relay service. Absolutely. So yeah, I like it.
Dispatchers from our emergency response partners from around the county are ready to answer that emergency text, as far south as Green Valley, as far north as Marana, and points in between. Here's some things you need to know. You can't text 911 with a 911 only phone, and those internet messaging services will not work with text to 911. The preferred language for text is English because of limited translation services. Now, on behalf of all the communication centers across Pima County, thank you for watching. I'm Kevin Adger with the Pima County Sheriff's Department.
No mention if your phone needs to be short code enabled. So if there is any cell phone service people listening, we're desperate to find out if this service is able to be used with or without short code service enabled on your cell phone. We would like to know if any, here's the other thing. If you are traveling, other counties are taking strides to implementing texting to 911. So if you travel to other counties and you're not sure if texting 911 is possible, just play it safe and make a phone call. For the link to the complete readout of the text to 911 and how it works, send us an email at info@computerdoctorshow.com. Here's a fun hack using a pregnancy tester. A gaming hacker in California took an Equate pregnancy tester and installed a 128 by 32 monochrome screen display with its own controller, and now is able to watch videos and play video games through the window of the pregnancy tester. In his Twitter feed, his name is Foone, Foone, where he shows the progression of the project, and it contains footage of him playing a video game on a pregnancy tester. This shows that almost any item can have hidden technology potential. Last month, actually, we did a part on options to connect online in rural areas of Arizona. Arizona still has about 1 million households that have no internet access for various reasons, financial, infrastructure, and otherwise. And I wanted to speak to the listening ear of those that are struggling to get to an internet connection in their home by going over some of the different ways that you can connect to the internet. So if you want to call in and describe the way that you connect to the internet, feel free to call us during this segment, 520-790-2040. I have a list of 7 ways plus 2 more ways to access data. And I have this numbered in order of the fastest and the most reliable. So the number 1 way to connect to your internet from your house is going to be through cable internet, and that's where companies such as Cox and Xfinity use. Also, large corporations use these whenever they have a large bank or a large building or a very large operation that utilizes many different computers and devices. They always opt for the cable internet because it is the fastest that is available right now. So cable internet is always the fastest, and it's usually, and as you'll notice, these internet services, they're priced according to how well they know that they are doing in the marketplace. And cable companies, they know this, so they most likely will have the most expensive price, but it's worth it in the long run because of the reliability and the speed that you get with cable internet. Coming in at number 2 or 3, because we can have different discussions about this one, and that is DSL. that's internet through your phone line. So the same copper that you were using, in your home for decades, probably even before internet even came around, you can actually run internet through that same through the same phone wires that your phone was. But what they do is on a different wavelength through that wire, they can put a modem so that the signal is split between your phone service and your internet service, and it's all coming in through the same line on different wavelengths. So that type of internet service is considered DSL, and that is available through phone companies, and in Tucson, that's most likely going to be CenturyLink. The number 3 or 2, and the reason why I'm not making any differentiation between the two is because we can argue which one is actually better. But number 3 on my list is satellite internet. Satellite internet can do 25 megabits per second. I think some have even advertised 50 megabits speed. So some of those companies include Hughes Internet and Viasat Internet, and those are the satellites. So basically the hookup there is, well, the nice thing about it is it can be anywhere where you can see the sky, basically. Any application where you can put a dish or some sort of receiver on the roof of your house, and you can actually connect to the internet that way, using this satellite, and it's communicating directly with the satellite links, of the satellites that are up in the sky. So, as you can imagine, there's all kinds of interference that can cause. But at best, when it's working at its best, you can get 25 megabit speed, 30 megabit speed, 50 megabit speed, which is plenty for several. At least half a dozen to a dozen devices in your average household. Okay, so now there might be some argumentative parts in that, as far as if you were to talk to other computer people. But even a high definition streaming service would only be using something to the effect of maybe 5 megabits per device. And if you have multiple devices, if you can set the router in such a way that no device ever goes beyond 5 megabits, because there's really no reason for it to, you can have very, very decent service with satellite internet. The next type would be number 4, and that would be like a radio tower type internet service, and that is with a service called Simply Bits. Now, Simply Bits, every time that I call them, or the few customers in the Tucson area that I handle, whenever they have Simply Bits, the internet connection seems to be, it's decent, but they can't seem to break beyond 1.5 megabit speed, which might be fine for a business, but probably not suitable for home. Believe it or not, the demand for fast internet service is higher at home than it is at work in many cases, because at work you're only looking at email, you're only looking at text messages, you're sending off email in text form. You're not really sending or receiving pictures, videos, for the most part for businesses, unless you're in the creative field for business. So there's more likely that people are going to be streaming things, videos and music at home than they would be at work. So using Simply Bits might be fine, or like a tower internet, radio tower type internet service might be fine for the business environment, but probably not for the home. The next type is number 5, and that is phone tethering. So we actually had a caller come in when we were discussing this last time about how they can use their cell phone for internet for their house, and that is true. So the cell phones today, especially the 4G and the 5G, depending on the make and model of your phone and the services that your provider is able to give to that phone, you might be able to turn on a feature called Hotspot, Personal Internet, or Tethering Service. All those names are pretty much all the same. And you can turn this feature on, and basically your phone becomes the Wi-Fi. Your phone becomes the Wi-Fi router, and it can allow you to connect other devices to it And now those devices can become connected because of the internet connection of your cell phone. So now, as far as the speed and reliability of this types, they can be extremely unstable, and it's not suitable for streaming. So if you're trying to do anything with Zoom, or you're trying to do Netflix, or if you're trying to do anything with video, this would not be a suitable connection, because it's very, very shoddy. At best, you may get very, very shoddy performance, very choppy video performance. And the other problem with this service is it can be very, very expensive. So when you're using the tethering service, you're actually using up the mobile data that your phone provider is giving you for your plan. Okay, so if they give you like 10 gigs of data, you can eat up all that data in a couple of days very, very easily. And then they're going to start charging you extras for the extra downloads. And then at the end of the month, you'll have a huge bill, and you get all upset. You call them, no, this is what you've used, So be very, very wary with that. It's a good enough internet to get you by. It's a good backup, but I would not consider that to be a permanent or your usual internet. We're up to number 6, and that is to use the mobile data on your phone. That is not to make your phone the tethering to make it a Wi-Fi, but to actually just use the internet on the phone itself. And that tends to not push the boundaries of the data usage as much. But if you're tethering, the data usage will definitely go way up. Number 7 is to use the old style dial-up, and that's when you actually use your old landline phone line, where it actually makes a phone call. And there are some countries that still use that. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are some people right here in Arizona that are still using dial-up. But it's probably only good enough for receiving and sending emails. Barely any websites would load at any speed using dial-up. So dial-up is like the very, very lowest. Now, if you actually have no computer, but you still need data, you could always call somebody that has internet access, or just dial the old 411. Do you remember 411? That's a really, really old system. But those are the different ways that you can connect to the internet, even if you are struggling to find a way. Up next on the Computer Doctor Show, 2 powerful tips on how you can protect yourself online from the upcoming book on cybersecurity. We'll also try to take some of your call on our open lines at 520-790-2040. You're listening to the Computer Doctor Show on KVOI 1030 Tucson. We'll be right back after this quick break. Stay tuned.
Solar is popping up all over town. Why? Because solar just makes sense. Say goodbye to expensive summer electricity bills. Call or text Julie Festerling at Icon Power, 520-307-1013. Avoid the new 7.9% price increase with the utility company. Call Julie at 520-307-1013. Icon Power will help you take control of your electric bill. Ugly Goose Car Rental is new in Tucson, providing a low-cost auto rental alternative for just $100 per week. The only catch? The cars are ugly, but very safe and reliable to get you to work, school, shopping, and all your important appointments. To reserve your $100 a week car rental, call Ugly Goose Car Rental at 520-261-0439. Again, 520-261-0439.
Perfect Look Photography is a photography business that serves individuals, families, wedding parties, children's parties, quinceañeras, and family reunions. We also do headshots for actors and model portfolios. We photograph all types of events in Tucson and communities in Pima and Santa Cruz counties. In addition, we provide more types of photos than any photographer in Tucson, including green screen, art photography, montages, and DVD slideshows. We provide great photos at great prices. For more information or to get a quote, please call 499-4209.
Computer Doctor of Tucson is the best choice in desktop support in Tucson. They fix error messages, power and boot problems, install of software and hardware, and much more. You can come to them, or they can come to you, or even have a remote support session so they can fix your issues over the phone quickly. Give them a call at 261-5508, 261-5508. Visit them on the web at computerdrtucson.com. Computer Doctor of Tucson, because technology is great when it works.
Welcome back to the Computer Doctor Show. I did make a error on the program here. So for powerful tips on how to protect yourself online, stay tuned for next week's program where we're going to give you some more tips on how to protect yourself. I did run across an interesting post on Facebook this week. It was a picture of a bra from Victoria's Secret, but it had the tag peeled away, and someone had peeled this tag away to reveal a squiggly metallic design that was underneath the tag. And I zoomed in on the picture and I saw the abbreviation RFID. And it was a squiggle metallic design. It was an RFID tag that was actually embedded into the garment. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with what RFID is, it is a wireless technology that uses electromagnetic frequencies for identification applications. It actually has lots of similar abilities that of barcodes, that they don't necessarily need to have line of sight. So, for example, the barcodes that we see at the grocery store where they beep your products across and then it comes up with the total. Think of that as some sort of device inside of the product that the machine is able to read, even if it doesn't see it. It just detects it in its general region. Well, that's because of the electromagnetic capabilities that RFIDs have. Now, they have the ability to be read from maybe a couple of inches all the way up to a few feet, and they can be programmed or become dormant. Usually when there's big box chains that are ordering things that are pretty large, a large quantity of anything, what they'll do is they will program all the RFIDs inside of the products, and then they ship them already programmed, and then when you purchase them, they're supposed to be deactivated. There could also be a second RFID tag put on by the retailer to sound an alarm if you were to leave the store with that product before paying for it. So they have the ability to engage or disengage these technologies inside of the product. But what is interesting is where RFIDs can be found. They can be found inside of credit cards, inside of your phone, inside of passports, key cards, security cards. They can be found inside of medicine bottles, and I was actually pretty surprised to find out that they can actually be embedded in fabric inside of clothes. Now, here's the problem. If people have a real open fear about being traced or tracked, the idea is that if you can embed RFID tags in almost anything that you buy from stores, then is it possible for readers to be embedded in countless areas around the world, feeding information into some centralized tracing system? Well, we don't know. But here's what the potential is. Let's say that you buy a pair of jeans. Okay, I'm not going to say what brand, but there are brands of very well known, and we're not talking about foreign products here. We're talking about stuff that's made right here in the United States. Okay, they can be embedded with RFID tags, and they can be traced by RFID readers that are just placed anywhere, and they're passive. You don't know that this is happening. Okay, you could put on a nice pair of jeans, you paid for them, but you walk out of the mall and you go into a restaurant, there can be RFID readers, just about anywhere in public, and they just know that that pair of jeans that you're wearing just passed this doorway, and that same pair of jeans just walked through this other door, okay? And they can be all over the country, and they're basically tracking those jeans that you're wearing. You think that you're not being traced, but you are. It's possible. No, I'm not trying to create any kind of things, but this is a technology show. These are the things that we talk about. These RFIDs being embedded in clothes. I was at Tucson Mall with my wife just the other day. We actually saw products that actually had. The salespeople, they were very, very open about it. Yep, here it is. They actually showed us the tags. So just be aware. This is nothing more than just being aware of what is happening. We would like to thank our awesome sponsors, Icon Power, Perfect Look Photography, and Ugly Goose Car Rental. Please do business with them. They are local and help keep this show on the air. My name is Aaron Moss, your host and technology expert. Tom Fairbanks is at the control board. Listen to the Computer Doctor Show every Saturday at 2 p.m. right here on KVOI 1030 The Voice. Stay safe, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Computer Doctor Show. If you missed any part of this live broadcast, we post all our episodes online at computerdoctorshow.com. Remember, the world is getting more and more tech, and so should you. To stay current with technology, listen to the Computer Doctor Show each week for local and global tech insights. If you have suggestions for a topic on a future show, send us an email at info@computerdoctorshow.com.